Welcome back to part 4 of how to overcome vaping. If you haven't seen the other 3 videos, I suggest you go back to watch them 3 before you watch this one. So in this one, I want to discuss the history of vaping and my personal experience and my journey with vaping. So I'd like to start out with, I started vaping back in 2012 or 2013, before vaping was mainstream, let's say. Like, I remember when I first started vaping, it was unknown to majority of the people. When they used to see me vaping, they were like, what's that? How's that even producing that much smoke? It was unknown. It was very unknown. And back then there was probably only 2 websites on the internet in the UK that sold vape devices. 2 websites. And now it's fully mainstream. You can buy it in the corner shop. So that's my experience with vaping. Back, I saw the inception of vaping back then, and now it's crazy to see how much mainstream it's become, how popularized, and how much it's taken over. Vaping was back then sold as a replacement, a healthier replacement for smoking. It was sold and marketed as being a healthier version or alternative to smoking. So for me personally, I used to smoke shisha back then, and I came across this vaping device and I was like, oh, I want to try it out. And when I started vaping, I automatically stopped doing shisha because I found vaping was more convenient, it was easier, it was just less effort. So I became a vapor, and so I in fact replaced the habit for a habit. And this is what happens. We basically are habitual beings. We replace habits for habits. But we must recognize that we need to stop replacing bad habits for bad habits, and recognize that we need to replace bad habits with good habits. So I replaced my shisha habit with the vaping, and I vaped for many years. I've probably 3 years ago now I've stopped vaping. So what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. I vaped for 8 years, let's say. 8 years? Yeah. So I vaped for 8 years, and over this time the vaping devices changed, where they started out with the ego pens and then topping up the flavor and the coils and that sort of stuff, and then they become modded devices where you could change the batteries. So I've seen the inception and the progression of vaping and how mainstream it's become, and it's become a hobby. It's become a hobby. People see this as a hobby where they invest in batteries. I had many batteries and all this shit. So my habit, I replaced the habit for a habit, let's say, and that's how it was marketed. It's a healthier way of smoking. But looking at the situation now, we see that it's not only smokers replacing it for vaping. We're actually seeing people, non-smokers. We're seeing kids in schools, in places, and picking up this vaping habit because it's marketed. We need to start seeing through the smoke. Start seeing through the smoke of how this vaping has been marketed. Fruity flavors, convenient. It's easy to just go and get, instead of doing the coils and the filling up and all that stuff. It's become so convenient that the kids are jumping onto it now. The kids are getting enticed with these fruity flavors, and they don't understand what it's actually doing to them on a mental and physical level. It's become an unconscious habit for majority of vapors now. So we need to start seeing through the smoke. We need to start seeing how this convenience of these disposable vapes and these fruity flavors, and how it's marketed as a fruity thing and all this stuff, and it's got nicotine written on there. It's got nicotine, highly addictive, blah blah blah. This nicotine is your direct debit. You're gonna constantly keep buying these vapes. This is your direct debit. Your money is gonna constantly going. So that nicotine is responsible for you to constantly invest and keep this habit going. So you need to recognize that this is how they're hooking you into this habit. And through my experience over the years, when I first started out, it was 18 milligrams slowly, and probably towards the end End of the last 4 years, I dropped down to 3 milligrams, and then slowly started doing the lockbox, creating the delayed gratification, and then slowly gave it up and introduced these newer habits, of healthier habits, let's say, of breathing, cold showers, all this stuff. So we must start becoming conscious and start seeing through the smoke that we don't need to replace a habit for a habit. We don't need to replace a smoking habit for another smoking habit, and start to recognize how it's affecting people on a mental and physical level. Because this vaping habit is causing people to stay in a constant state of fear and anxiety, where the world, everyone that's vaping are in a constant fear and anxiety, and they're reacting to the world in this state. And when you're in this constant fear and anxiety, you have no compassion. You're in a constant reactive state. You're reacting to the world around you. You have no perspective of the world because you're in this fight or flight response mode. And I see this with people that are vaping. I see that they're in this mode, in this fight or flight response mode, and they're reacting to the world. They're not actually conscious. They're not consciously aware of the world around them. So we must start recognizing this habit, start becoming conscious of the habit, start recognizing the potential effects mentally and physically on the body and the mind. Start introducing these tools to start transcending this habit, not quitting this habit, transcending this habit of vaping, and start seeing through the smoke. Because this vaping is an unconscious product. It's an unconscious product. It doesn't serve people. It creates addictions and it creates reliance mentally and physically. So I class vaping as an unconscious product. We're unconsciously addicted, and we're unconsciously being sold an unconscious product to make us more unconscious. So start recognizing that it does not benefit you, and it doesn't benefit anybody apart from the businesses that are selling this product to you via the nicotine habit association. So the practical step for this week would be mind reboots. I've linked the video down below on how to perform these mind reboots, and this will help you battle the cravings and try to start transcending these cravings. So good luck, and I hope you found this series useful. I hope you found these steps useful, and I wish you all the best on overcoming and transcending this vaping habit. Let me know in the comments below on how you're getting on and your experience with following these steps over the last 4 videos, and I'll catch you in the next one. Sending you much love and light, my beautiful souls. Goodbye.